want to talk a little bit about a different perspective on maintenance agreements. And I titled this particular presentation, Evolve Your Brand Strategy. I want to look at maintenance agreements from a brand perspective. We've heard the word customers a lot so far, and tons of awesome information about acquiring and communicating and making maintenance agreements in the process therein affordable. I want to look at maintenance agreements from a different perspective, and that is the shift from thinking about them as customers to thinking about them as the ingredients for what I'm going to call super fans. Your voluntary advocates, your tribe, the people that are going to push your company into their networks, right? And so, historically, I think one of the reasons that the industry has struggled with selling maintenance agreements is that because unsolicited or decontextualized cross-selling, right? Unsolicited, I didn't ask for this, or decontextualized, it's not happening in the context of an event. The kind of you didn't ask for it, but can I sell it to you kind of cross-selling kind of sometimes undermines your credibility, or it could hurt the performance. When I listen to Brigham talk about the pattern to excellence, what I hear is a holistic approach to selling maintenance agreements that kind of embeds the message in a variety of touch points, which very much gives it context and also encourages the customer to think about the value-added service here, right? But I think if we approach maintenance agreements from the standpoint of we're going to treat it like a bolt-on product that the customer was heretofore unaware of or didn't ask for, I think we're creating some unnecessary roadblocks. And there have been some fantastic recommendations thus far about how to overcome those. That being said, there's the easy stuff is not really a matter here, right? When you look at successful companies that do great with maintenance agreements, they typically follow a fairly similar blueprint, right? They utilize anchor pricing. They utilize price strategies relying on the psychologies of numbers, lots of nines, lots of 79.99s, 89.99s, 53.39. They use solid anchor pricing. They typically use a menu. And their pricing strategy, of course, lends itself to the sale. Now, how do you sell a lot of $1,000 watches? Well, you put them next to a $10,000 watch. And so the pricing strategy, the anchor pricing, the product offerings, those are great hit it down the fairway tactics, as well as good first-person testimonials, proven drip marketing programs. So, the block and tackle of selling maintenance agreements has been figured out for a long time. It's been alluded to in referencing Ron Smith, who published his book in 2007. So, we've known what the best practices are for a long time. But what I'm also very interested in, and I think that this is a different perspective on maintenance agreements, is that we have to look at them for another reason. These super fan customers are the people that, as I mentioned, are going to do a couple things. One, they will be with you over the years. Two, they become a new and voluntary source of new business. These are the people that will talk about your companies socially on review sites, that will volunteer their lives for testimonials. And by the way, they're also exceptionally open and receptive to new product offerings. In order to keep that funnel going, though, we can't treat the visit, we can't treat the relationship transactionally. If you want to convert your maintenance agreement customers into superfan customers, we have to do a few things. One, the level of service has to get ridiculously high touch. If someone buys a maintenance agreement for your customer, at the very least, thanking them in person, and second, understanding why they bought it. And this is a key component here. Not everybody buys a maintenance agreement for the same reason. Our industry approaches it from the standpoint of, we want to keep your equipment running, we want to prevent any unnecessary repair costs. But they might be buying your maintenance agreement products for completely different reasons that are unique to them. And unless you understand that, and Brigham has always talked about this, unless you really understand the emotional reasons behind their decision to join your tribe, we're overlooking a tremendous opportunity to broaden the platform of our sales offering. If we approach maintenance agreements rather narrowly from the technical side, not that it's an invalid reason, but it eclipses so many of the other emotional reasons why people invest in something like that. Once you've got that insight, right? Once you know what value means to your customers, and that's always a very interesting topic. We can't treat the concept of value in a uniform manner. You then have the opportunity to continue to grow your super fan base by embedding it into your products, your prices, your promotions, and the placement of your maintenance agreement conversations. So when I talk about maintenance agreements, I really think about the long game, right? Your maintenance agreement customers, certainly they represent recurring revenue, as Tom has mentioned. To me, more importantly, your super fans in this day and age are another form of voluntary low-cost marketing. In person, on review sites, on social media platforms, yes, it's a revenue and a recurring revenue source. It's much bigger, though, than the transaction if you think about the ways in which people network and share information. And ultimately, the only thing that people really trust is a direct referral. So I'm going hard in the paint on brand right now, and I'm really convinced that it is the niche in the industry that can help us continue to grow and convert opportunities if it's done right. So I would invite you to learn how to start doing that. Next Wednesday, there will be at 9 a.m. Pacific, Leverage Your Brand for Profit. It's a coaching hour, it's 1 hour, I'm doing it. 3 takeaways. 1, how to develop a crystal clear one-liner that explains what your brand is when someone says, well, why are you different? Takeaway 2, a formula for communicating your brand across a variety of platforms. And then 3rd and finally, a plan for leveraging your brand during in-person or virtual sales calls so that you can close more deals. 1 hour, it's free, and if you are ready to build a brand that works for you, hit me up via email. I'll send you an invitation. But I think this is a massive opportunity for every contractor out there to sharpen your brand and use it to close more deals.